People spoke of Warsaw, Kishinev, Kiev, Kharkov, Odessa as if they were neighbouring suburbs, as if they were neighbouring suburbs. And the women kept the old folkways alive. They shouted public gossip to one another over flapping laundry in their yards, screamed at unmanageable children, quarrelled, wept, cursed, and laughed with exuberant immodesty. In the evenings they assembled in one another's kitchens, drawing tired infants on their laps to drowse and drink the milk of their words as they talked the day to sleep. So drowsily we absorbed our racial memories, stories of far lands we would never see with our own eyes, of wonder rabbis and terrible Cossacks spearing Jewish babies with their lances, of families cowering in cellars as mobs battered at doors shouting, "Kill the Jews and save Russia." But also anecdotes marvellous and comic about kings and cuckolds, beggars and millionaires. Round the corner was Bacon Street, squalid even by our standards. Perhaps it was the name, but the only Jews I knew who lived there were an organ grinder and cobbler who sat in the midst of a heap of run-down, stinking shoes that seemed hardly worth the mending. Until I was big and fairly robust, I could only walk through Bacon Street by making myself invisible, crediting the simple folk down there with a malicious brutality that could only be circumvented by magic. When they emerged unsteadily from pubs, singing hoarsely and embracing one another, over and over in amiable confusion, I heard the drunken mobs amok in the ghettos and fled. Their wild children greeted us with the chant, "A-B, A-B, A-B, my boy." And once, when I was playing ball on the corner with my small brother, we were pounced on by a big York with a runny nose, who grinned ferociously and said, "You killed our Lord, didn't you, so I can pinch your ball." And he did. There was a mad gypsy woman over the road who gave off a musty smell like a barrow of load of old rags. All the workaday week she leaned on her windowsill, staring malevolently at the tenement with slitted black eyes. But on roaring Saturday nights, she staggered out of the corner pub, shook her earrings in the lamplight, and screamed, "Christ killers, all of you!" with a shrillness that pierced the dreams of sleeping children. We learned to take such melodramas for granted as fairly harmless, for violence of one kind or another was as familiar as the mood of the week, of the weather, living as we did from day to day, from shilling to shilling, and jostling for elbow room in our teeming brick box. When I was 4, my mother bought me a pair of steel-shed boots, said we were going for a walk, and dragged me screaming into the highest building I'd ever seen. Hollow noises came from all directions. I was handed over to a skirted monster in gold-rimmed glasses, whose voice clashed and grated like the blades of a sharp scissors. To distract me, she opened a picture book, but it was a trick, because when I looked round, my mother had gone, disappeared. Gripping me so hard, her fingernails dug into my flesh, the woman pushed me into a room with rows of staring faces. School, incoherent with shock. I spent the entire day swollen-faced and blubbering, kicking out like a caged animal at anyone unwise enough to try to pacify me. But before the first week was over, I fell fiercely in love with a teacher, Miss Baker, a thin lady with long, gentle horse face, reddish hair, and blue eyes as pretty as a doll's. It was my revenge against my treacherous mother. Oh, that'll do.